What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review on the Hit and Move Compact 12 Power Training Gloves. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, as today I have another innovative piece of boxing equipment made by Hit and Move. Today I bring you the Compact 12 Power Training Gloves by Hit and Move. And if you're wondering what that name means, Compact 12 Power, let me explain it and I'll go into why it's a really cool concept and how they pulled it off. Long story short, these are a 12-ounce training glove in the fit and form of an 8-ounce fight glove. And why that's important, guys, is because let's say hypothetically you're 147 pounds and below in boxing, you would fight in an 8-ounce fight glove. So what professional boxers do, in my case I'm a professional MMA fighter, we will use the same glove that we're going to fight in at least 2 to 3 days a week in training so we can condition our hands to what we're going to be using, and so it gets us used to what we're going to be using in general. But the only problem with that is fight gloves are often not nearly as protective of the hands as an actual training glove is. Most professional fighters will use a 10 to 12 ounce bag glove for bags and pads, and then 16 to 18s, or depending what weight, could be 14 through 18s to actually spar in. In this case, what Hit and Move is trying to do is give you the protection of a 12-ounce glove and the conditioning that a heavier ounce glove will give you without sacrificing the fit and feel of the glove that you're going to fight in. And that's really cool. They actually did something very similar to that a few years ago with their All Day Plus, which is a 24-ounce conditioning glove in the fit and form of a 16-ounce training glove. So it wasn't an overly bulky, too much padding glove that would offset and risk injury. And this is more anatomically fit to your hands. So Hit and Move is very cool for doing that. And I think especially if you're a professional boxer, it's something that you would want to explore. Because again, you're not sacrificing the protection for the fit and feel of the glove that you fight in. Because again, they're fight gloves. They're meant for exactly that, fights. Most fight gloves are usually signed off by a commission after the fights are done, and they're deemed usable. They can't be used, unusable, I should say, for another fight after that. And most of the time, fight gloves, again, they're designed for at most 12 rounds. So 15 to 16 rounds, we'll say they're designed for. You warm up a couple rounds in the back, and then you fight in them. They're effectively toast. And they break apart a lot quicker on the bags and pads as well. These will not. These are designed to last you for a few camps and to take a beating throughout your camps and keep you protected. And that's something Hit and Move really tried to do, and they designed this for well over, I think, a year and a half to 2 years, just like they did the All Day Pluses, and they've had tons of world champions use these. Most recently, actually, who fought yesterday was David Benavidez. He uses Hit and Moves to train in, though he fights in Rivals. Same thing for Ryan Garcia, actually trains in Hit and Move now. Mike Tyson used the Hit and Move headgear. Henry Cejudo used Hit and Move gloves. A lot of different people, even Jake Paul, and we can discredit him as much as we want. Daniel Dubois trains in Hit and Move. Deontay Wilder, Tank Davis, a bunch of different people have used Hit and Move, and I cannot remember the gentleman's name. I don't think it was Boots Ennis. It was the guy, was it Lamont Roach is his name, is the one that had the controversial decision with Tank Davis. I want to say he actually uses Hit and Move now. So it's one of those things in his fights too. You're seeing Hit and Move become more of a prominent brand, which is awesome because 5 years ago when I first reviewed the pair of gloves by them, to be blunt, they were just kind of a brand that came out of the midst of COVID. A lot of brands did, a lot of them went away. Hit and Move did not by any stretch of the imagination. They actually were in Creed 3, which is a major motion film. I just named all the champions that use these gloves, and in 5 years, they've created one of the biggest brands in boxing. And why they're so popular amongst people is because they really live up to their slogan, that is boxing deserves better. And I always love telling the story. Ozzy, the guy that owns the brand, and his wife were in boxing for just general fitness, to do something outside of the box, just lifting weights, running, doing all those different things. And they realized, because they were both in like sports therapy and physical therapy, and they knew what the human body needed and didn't need, and they said the gloves that they were using were simply not good enough. And so they actually actually went to Virginia Tech, which is a very prestigious university here in the United States, and did a bunch of different testing to make the best type of designs for everything to be good, anatomically speaking, for safety, for you and your sparring partners or your training partners. And they've completely innovated the game as far as boxing gloves, mitts, headgear, chest protectors, cups, everything you can think of, they do to bring it up. Because they're right in saying a lot of different boxing gloves are very much outdated and have not been updated for the last 20 to 30 years. So I think of some innovative brands. Of course, we have Hit and Move in front of us. I think about Hayabusa when they introduced the dual X strap system. I think of Rival with their True Fist, different things like that. That might not be. I think True Fist is Hit and Move. Proper Fist, I can't ever remember. But or they have their wrist lock systems. You think of Onyx Sports. They only use a high quality microfiber composite, which was kind of new to the world of boxing in general. So I think of brands like that think outside of the box, and that's what makes them so popular, because they do such a good job with it. And that's the same thing Hit and Move does. Everything is scientifically backed, and that's one thing that people will dispute science a lot. In boxing, let me tell you, people are very much stuck in their ways. There are still trainers out there. There's no overall training glove. You can't spar and hit the bag in the same glove. It's got to be different. And in most cases, that's still true in some ways. But I think what Hit and Move is doing is absolutely awesome. And the fact that in this glove, they had a live action x-ray to see if it makes a good proper fist, and they have their whole system now of the True Fist or Proper Fist, whatever they call it. It's just incredible. And for me, it's what sets them apart by a lot of different people. So that's absolutely awesome. The last thing I want to do before I go into the look, I know it's a very long-winded intro, but when it comes to gloves like these, especially when it costs as much as it does, I want you to be 100% well-informed before you go and buy it. A lot of people ask me, well, they're 12-ounce training gloves, and they're in the fit and form and like overall shape of an 8-ounce fight glove, but can you prove it? Can you put it next to a 12 or an 8-ounce glove? Now, as a heavyweight, and for one, I don't really collect fight gloves because, again, they just don't last as long and they're not going to protect me as much. As a heavyweight, I do not have 8-ounce fight gloves, but I do have a pair of Hit and Move 10-ounce fight gloves, which you can see the shape and size here is definitely a little bit different. These are a lot more, a bit more narrow and more compact here. And if I turn it this way, you can kind of see how the padding is different. I'll turn it this way too. You can see that this is definitely a smaller glove, but I know what you're thinking. Well, this is a Hit and Move. Okay, well, let's take a 12-ounce training glove by Layoc Boxing that I reviewed recently, their Warrior model solid glove. This is 12 ounces. You can see the padding's thicker. You can see it's a wider glove. You can see the thumb itself is wider compared to this glove too. So this, again, more of an 8-ounce fight glove fit and feel. And to take it a step further, let's go to a bag mitt, right? This is my Top Boxer. It's a rather large bag mitt, but you can see they're virtually about the same size, but I think the Top Boxer is even a little bit wider than these. And I don't really weigh my gloves, folks, because I never assume everything's going to be dead on all the time. And I always say you probably shouldn't either, but I think if you order a 16-ounce pair of gloves, it should be at 16 or above, in my opinion, But it just, you can't ever nail it. And then on top of it, you're going to keep training. The glove's going to soak up sweat and all these different things. So I didn't weigh these. I want to say they weigh about the same. If not, these feel just a touch heavier. But again, this is a bag mitt. And to go one step further, this is a 9-ounce MMA sparring glove by Ibuko. So this is 12 ounces, 9 ounces. That's 3 ounces in difference. But you can see here the padding in the Ibuko glove is actually a bit thicker than the actual training glove that we have here. So yes, they are indeed what they say they are. Hit and Move wouldn't put it out if they didn't do that. Give you an idea, this is a 7-ounce MMA sparring glove. And as you can see here, the padding, again, even looks a little bit thicker than this. So remember, ounces does not mean padding, it just means weight, and that's what you have here, and it's a conditioning glove. Very similar to what they did with their All Day Plus training gloves. I know, very long intro, that's why I always put, what we at, 8 minutes already, wow. That's why I put timestamps for you guys. Let's go into the actual model I have for you today. Today, they come in 12 ounces only, of course, but I got these in the L/XL size in the black colorway and lace-up only at this point. I think they do the lace-ups only. I don't see them in Velcro on the website unless I just severely overlooked something. I don't think I did. If you wanted to replicate a fight glove, you're going to want the laces because every boxing fight glove is going to be that lace-up feel, and that's what you have here. You can get them in the white colorway, which is the same exact thing, only white, so the same logos and the same colorways are on the base of the palm and everything like like that too. And again, you can get them in 2 different sizes, large/XL, which is what I have here, or small/medium. And that's just basically, it's the same exact weight, but my hands are bigger. So an L/XL is definitely going to be better for my hands to fit on the inside here. And I actually, funny enough, for a comment earlier today, I finally took a tape measure and just did it. He asked me how big my hands were. So I answered this. I wear a size 14 ring, if that helps you. From the tip of my tallest finger all the way down to like this part of my wrist and palm is 8.5 inches. And then when I wrap my tape measure around my hand and close my fist, it is 11.5 inches. So that's what I have going on there, if that helps you as far as the size. Fits my hand just fine. And I'll talk about it more when I go into the actual fit and feel of the glove. But again, for your exact reference, I got them in the L/XL size, the black colorway, and again, they only come in the lace-up, trying to replicate that fight glove. Now, when we go into the actual look of the glove, this is where I love everything by Hit Move, because their leather is so reflective and shiny. Everything could be a display piece, so it looks really nice. You have that black leather that shines so well throughout the entirety of the glove. And of course, you have a couple graphics and designs. When we go to the back of the glove, you can see here we have that awesome Hit and Move logo, which I always call the Robot Samurai. Don't ask me why. This is how it looks like to my brain. But you can see it says Hit and Move. So the hit and N right there is in that silver. Move is in that orange. And then you have Compact 12 Power. So it gives you the actual name of the glove right there. And you also have the logo there, which contrasts in color as well. When we go to the top of the glove, you have more of that really nice shiny black color. You go over to the thumb, you can see it has a Hit and Move logo there. And you have that on the other glove too. But you can see it's in that nice orange and silver color, but the rest of that is that really nice black color, and all the lacing here for that split seam is black as well. Same thing here, so it blends in perfectly. You can hardly see the stitching itself. The stitching on the palm, again, is all that black. The laces themselves are black, and when we open the palm, there's no designs there, but you can see some breathe holes towards the top. You have more of that nice shiny black color. We go down here, you can see here that it says genuine leather. So you have your genuine leather stamp right there. And it also says made in the USA, oh sorry, designed in the United States. And there's also a tag here that will tell you that it is 12 ounces. And you have the Hit and Move logo right there. There's a small little cloth tag. And then when we go down here, you can see it says Compact 12. Let's see if that'll focus for you, geez. Please. Let's try that again. Let's try the other glove. Okay. You can see here, there we go. Compact 12 Power Training Glove right there. And you can see that in orange. Now, when we open the actual glove up, let's see, we pull the laces apart here so I can open it. It takes a little bit more than just the 2 that I like to do. But when we open the glove up wide, you can see here that the interior lining is that really cool black, but it has the Hit and Move logo all the way throughout the entire inside. And you can see that if I open this up wide here. And then you also see there's a tag on the inside, but it's basically one of those tags that says, hey, boxing is dangerous. Please be careful in using boxing equipment, which, you know, you should know. So really cool looking glove. It's basic but futuristic at the same time. I think all the nice little graphics make it look really nice. And then on top of it, just the reflective leather that you have on the outer shell is really nice. So anything with Hit and Move, like I have the Hit and Move shelf right up here. And these are their Suvari gloves. You can even see that this just reflects really, really well. They do a good job on keeping it basic but futuristic at the same time. Now, when we talk about the outer shell of the glove, one thing that Hit and Move has changed over the years is that they use a designer leather is what they call it. And I don't know what country it's from. I remember it was a Turkish leather for a while. I don't know if it ever changed to Italian or Mexican, but I'm pretty sure it's just easier for me to say it sticks to a designer leather. And designer leather is usually what they use in, like, say, high quality boots, purses, handbags, you know, belts, wallets, things like that is what you would think of. And I know a big part of designer leather, because it's huge in the world of fashion, is Italy. So it does have that sweeter scent that you get with an Italian leather. And it definitely has that nice clean scent to it, but it's a very smooth, buttery leather. It's definitely not like a Mexican leather, because you got to think of where some of the leather comes from. Mexican leather comes from a warmer, more harsher climate, and like a rugged climate. So usually Mexican leather is a little bit more, firm, and it's a little bit more rugged to the touch, but it's still a nice, soft leather at the same time. It's very thick. Barrack Boxing uses the upper Midwest, which is a sweeter smelling leather because of the climate that they come from. You think about Japanese leather when it comes to winning. They have more of a soft, thin, buttery, smooth feel to it. Similar to this, actually, but I'd say this is definitely a little bit more natural because they use a fully grained, full grain leather. And the idea behind that, guys, is you can see all the natural grain marks here. All those little grooves that you see in the actual glove itself, that is the grain marks from the animal itself. So what they do is they take the cowhide off, and that's what they use. They just basically tan it and use it. Whereas top grain leather, which is still very good quality, they shave all the imperfections off the top so it's easier to work with and it's more uniform. In this case, they took it off the animal and used it right away. And the nice part about full grain leather is since true full grain leather, you can tell the difference because it's not as thin. When you actually take some of the leather off the top, you can see that it's actually pretty thick. And the cool part about that is if you pinch it together, it feels very padded. It's not because they put padding in the actual leather itself. It's because when you take a very thick hide and sandwich it on top of each other, it's very soft. And I always give you this fun little history lesson. Way back when people used that for bedding, they would actually fold like caribou hide or cow hide, buffalo hide, all those different things. And that's what they use for pillows, blankets, bedding, you know, put it in everything like that. It's why when you look at old Western movies, that's what they had. They had like cow blankets. It's because it was thick, it was warm, and it kept you protected. It's also flame resistant too. But that's a different story. So overall, you have that really nice leather throughout the entirety of the back of the glove, on the back of the punch surface, the wrist, all the way to the palms, everything but the interior lining, the laces, and of course, anything else that isn't the leather is that really nice leather. Now, when we come to the padding, the one thing that it says it tries to mimic the dart padding as much as it can, that dart foam layered system. And what the dart padding is, guys, is Ozzy, funny enough, I thought it was funny how he came up with that. He said he wanted it to be as straight as a dart, because if a dart's too heavy or too light, it'll go all over the place, and he doesn't want wind resistance. So the idea was to make a perfectly balanced glove, so when you punch, it goes straight in and straight out. And what you have is you have a couple different layers, and I don't know the exact foams. I'll put a display across so you can see it, but it just feels like it has a couple layers of everything that works great. A high density, multi-layered foam to keep your knuckles protected, a protective layer at the base. You can definitely feel it's firmer back here. Maybe even a type of latex sheet on the inside to give you a nice solid pop. And that's what you have here, but it's actually a thinner padding than most of the training gloves that you're going to see. Even the Hit and Moves training gloves have thicker padding than this, but this being a 8-ounce fight glove fit and feel, they pulled that off. And that's the cool thing. I don't know how they do that. They somehow make that 12-ounce glove limit while having it in such a small compact form. So that's really cool. But the padding overall is that nice solid layer of those different foam molds that you have. I'm sorry, one solid mold of those different layers of foam. My dyslexia makes me confuse things sometimes. It has very soft give. When you first get it out of the box, it is actually really stiff. And it took me about 2 or 3 rounds in the bag for it to start getting soft. And the nice part about this, between the leather being a really high quality and being not too stretched tight over the padding so it's activated all the time, it allows it to breathe. You can actually hear the air kind of come out of it a bit. And again, it's very, very soft. Because of the black color, you might not be able to see how it kind of creases in a bit. But it does crease in quite a bit, but still gives you a nice solid fit and feel. The nice part too is that it has a flat surface, so you definitely make solid contact. So you go for a good solid uppercut or a nice straight right, you can feel your knuckles kind of pierce through that padding a little bit, because obviously there's not as much room as like say a 14 or 16 ounce glove to train in, but that's what you have. It gives you that nice solid feedback, but it also feels like when you punch, it completely shifts over your knuckles. And that's the nice thing about Hit and Move gloves in general. Actually, they come with cards that tell you if you hit the bags for this amount of time, it will slowly mold to your hand a little bit more as time goes on, which is really, really cool. So overall, the padding's really nice, and that padding goes down all the way to the back of the glove too, so it is one solid mold. And you can see how the glove kind of splits into 2 parts, and we'll talk about that in a second too. So first and foremost, when we go into the thumb, you can see that that splits separate, like Japanese gloves do a lot. They do that so your thumb has more freedom, and you can see the Hit and Move kind of curves up a bit more so it tucks directly behind the knuckles. Now, why it does that is so you don't jam your thumb at all, and also puts you in a nice natural fist position at all times. And the thumb actually kind of shares the same padding as the back of the knuckles here. So when I do this, it definitely has a nice soft squeeze to it, but it's still nice and protective. So if I ever got hit on the side, and when I do pads with these, say like I'm doing tie pads and those big heavy tie pads hit my thumb, I don't feel it on the back of my thumb. So it really protects your joints and everything on the inside of your thumb and your palm as well, which is nice. When we come down to the actual wrist, you can feel this. It is super hard, actually really stiff padding. And so what it does is it tries to stop all the impact at the top here. So if it gets down here, it disperses it entirely. You can even hear the difference. Sounds like you're knocking on wood. So it's definitely a bit of a stiffer foam down here. And I think that's on purpose. That way it can kind of contour to your wrist a bit more. And it also stops the shock from really damaging your hand any more than it should. So the wrist support is really nice on this glove. And you also have that nice split seam here. So you have the actual punch foam and the thumb foam up here, while this foam is completely separate, but it's stitched so well that it matches uniformly. And you can see how the foam mold up here gets thinner going towards the bottom. So it's nice and thick here, it gets thinner, contours back down to the thin padding that you have down here, which is a really stiff, if I had to guess, closed cell foam to really stop the shock entirely. Now when we go over to the palm, the grip bar itself is about as stiff as the foam at the back of the wrist. That much didn't break in all that well compared to the actual padding up towards the knuckles, which obviously you wanted to break in a bit more toward your knuckles anyway. But it's a rather stiff grip bar here. And you can see that we have some foam to kind of counterbalance the weight here. And that's basically, it's a little softer than the back, but it's still a pretty firm foam. And that's just so it can kind of hug your, oh, it's blurring. I'm sorry. As you can see here, this foam here is more or less to kind of like protect the base of your wrist, kind of take some shock off, say if you're doing, you know, bag work and stuff, but it's also to hug around here more, because you can see if I let that go, it'll hug around that part. So it's always good to have that right there. Same thing on the other side, you have more of that nice foam. It's that closed cell, like EVA style foam that's there to kind of protect you and your forearms in general. The laces are rather short and the eyelids are smooth, but you definitely need to pull, for my big hands, you need to pull a lot of the laces out to actually have it fit. The laces are really good quality. They're actually nice and moisture wicking as well, but they are a shorter lace. So for me, I prefer longer laces, but I do notice Hit and Move has shorter laces in general. They probably want you to not make as many loops as longer laces do. I prefer longer laces just because it's easier to work with for people that may not know how to do that. Plus, most of the time, shorter laces means this, and everyone knows if you're a boxer, you'd lace it and tape it. That's usually what you do anyway. So I imagine that's what the glove was designed to do. You have a pretty nice lace track right here, and the lace kind of tucks perfectly across the back of the wrist right there, that little line. And it has, they're genius with this actually, a very slightly raised edge here so it doesn't fold back so much. You can actually hear it catch, oh, like that. So it folds right here at the top. When we open the glove up, you can see that we have a really nice, it feels like a really good satin liner on the inside. It's like a poly satin, very moisture wicking and antimicrobial, and also padded on the inside to keep you even more protected. So you have a lot of padding, soft padding on the back of your hand, so it's not so rough on your hand and wrist, and you can feel that padding sink in. Now, again, I have bigger hands, and 8-ounce gloves are not ones that I collect, but I have plenty of space on the inside here, and it's a very nice natural fist. That's that proper or true fist that they use, and I'll pull that tight here. And now it feels completely cinched to the back of my hand. And they are definitely super small as far as like comparison to the rest of my body. And you'll even see it in the bag work, how small they are compared to the rest of my body. But what I like here is like, yes, I can feel the outlines of my knuckles. When I do that, I feel no impact. It's like shocking as to how nice that feels on the back of my hand. I don't feel a lot of impact back here, especially on the wrist. That's actually like doing more damage to this part of my hand than my wrist here. The thumb feels nice and supported, and the natural fist position I have. One thing that you'll notice that there's like zero gap in between where my fist is, and that's part of the reason why they went to Virginia Tech and had that live x-ray, because if I do this, or like say I close and it's too open, that puts my fingers and my knuckles at risk of breaking or injury, and that's basically what they were trying to avoid. So when I close my fist, I'm just fixing the laces here, I just realized I pulled it too soon. But when I'm here, you can see that nice natural fist position. So if I want it closed, it's all the way closed. I can't get my finger on the inside here at all. But if I want to open it, it's very easy to open. So if you're doing mitts, you can actually practice your parries. And for me, as an MMA guy, super solid grip as well. The only thing is the thumb is definitely a lot more of a fixed position for boxing. So I don't get as good as like wrist control or tie clinches as I would with other ones. But I still get pretty solid grips with just the top of my hands as far as like mitts go with like you know, Thai or MMA guys or kickboxing, whatever it might be. But the protection that the glove offers you, the nice natural fist position, and overall comfort. The lining is not baggy whatsoever towards the tip of my fingers, and I have plenty of room to put a pretty good solid fight wrap on if I wanted to. I've used light wraps in these or no wraps at all because they're really that protective, and compared to some other like 16-ounce gloves I've had, they actually do a better job of protecting my hand than those. They feel really solid on the back of my hands. And in general, they feel more like an extension of my hand than an actual glove on top of my hand, which is one of the biggest compliments I can get. Hit and Move has one of the most natural fits and feels of any glove I've tried, period. And I was surprised that even an 8-ounce fight glove fit and feel actually fits my hands as good as it does. That worried me that it'd be too tight, but it's not. And that's what's really nice about these gloves. But with that said, guys, let's go ahead and get into the actual bag work, and then we'll come back with my final thoughts. Now, I personally, as a heavyweight, don't really use 8-ounce anything. So when I had an 8-ounce profile glove, at first, it was a little tight on the hand. But with anything else by Hit and Move, it even says whenever you get a glove by Hit and Move, you got to break it in so it naturally molds to your fist a little bit more per the construction of the padding itself. The one thing that I love about these gloves, although they're very small, they're super protective like everything else Hit and Move uses, and that dart padding balances the glove out perfectly. It feels like an extension of the hand instead of a glove on top of it, and it actually provides a really good punching experience. You'd think because it's a smaller glove, it wouldn't add as much protection and you'd have more of a fight glove feel, but no, just like the glove was designed to feel like a 12-ounce training glove, it feels like you have the protection of a 16-ounce glove, in my opinion, because of the way the padding is designed. Every time I make contact, I get a nice solid pop. I definitely know I'm making contact, but it's really hugging the outside of my fist and really protecting my knuckles, and it feels good on the back of my hand. It's very natural on the fist as well, and it's great for all combat sports because you can open and close really easily for clinch as well. I'm able to nail the bag as hard as I want. I'm able to let my hands go. In general, great for bags and pads. The one thing I love about Hit and Move is since they are a more modern brand, they have a more modern design to it, and that really natural designer leather that they use shines really well, and you can see the awesome Hit and Move logo. Now, obviously, these are not meant for sparring, but these still look really sharp if you see someone hitting the bags with these. For me, they scream a good professional quality glove, and they just look sharp in general. I love Hit and Move's design in general, and it keeps it simple, keeps it modern, keeps it clean. All right, folks, my final verdict here for the Hit and Move Compact 12 Power Training Gloves is, I'm not surprised. Everything by Hit and Move is just quality assurance checkmarked to a T, and they have a standard that they will not settle for anything less than. And everything I've used by Hit and Move has been absolutely outstanding. And these are no exception. I was absolutely blown away because I've never really used an 8-ounce fight glove fit and feel anything because I have, obviously as a heavyweight, I wouldn't. But the fact that they're so protective, they're safe, they check all the boxes that you need. And for me, what's most incredible is that professional fighters now have a new outlet to different styles of training gloves that maybe wasn't available to them before. Because you had guys that were training in the fight gloves that just aren't going to protect you as much, and they're going to not last you as much. And on top of it, it's going to mean more money out of your pocket too. If you're going to constantly buy $250 to $300 pairs of fight gloves that are just not built to last, compared to getting a training glove that's 12 ounces, gives you a good amount of conditioning, that has your 8-ounce fight glove fit and feel, it means that you're able to hit a little harder, faster, to be more confident in your striking. And that's something that I think is super underutilized in the world of boxing. Why wouldn't you want to try it out in that case? But with everything I review, as always, I'm going to give you my positives, some of the negatives or the drawbacks, and just overall improvements I would think, or who it would be best for, who it wouldn't be best for, and then I'll go into my final rating. First and foremost, the positives. There's a lot of positives. The protection that you get for a glove that is that compact fit and feel, and I usually do not like compact gloves. I don't like tight-fitting gloves. They drive me crazy. This is one of the exceptions, though, because it fits my hand in such a nice natural fist position that it almost feels like a really solid bag and pads glove, and that's exactly what it was designed to do, of course. Obviously, you're not going to spar in these because of the way they work. They also have a 16-ounce version. It's like a 12-ounce glove and a 16-ounce fit and form, I want to say, or it's 16 ounces in a 12-ounce form. Obviously, you're not going to spar on that too, but that's basically what you have going on here with this glove. It is super protective. The dart padding system that they use has always been a really nice, solid feedback. You definitely feel your knuckles kind of sinking into the bag, but you feel that nice protective fit and feel. Like the padding is just hugging your fist whenever you punch. On top of it, there's plenty of room on the inside. Of course, it's a fight glove. You want to replicate the fight glove in general. Most professional boxers are going to wrap their hands with tapes and gauze before they actually step into training, and that's exactly what you have going on here. So there's plenty of room for me, even as a heavyweight with larger hands, to do big fight wraps while putting my hands on the inside of these gloves. I personally don't like the tighter fit and feel. If I use these, I either use no wrap at all because that's just what I prefer, or I use a very simple training wrap with just your basic hand wraps that you can buy from, say, Dick's Sporting Goods and stuff like that. And that works just fine. In general, The padding is absolutely awesome. The natural fist position that you have in anything by hit and move is outstanding because it's scientifically backed and tested at a prestigious university like Virginia Tech. And again, Bo Bassett is actually going to go wrestle there this coming year. I'm excited to see that. His match with Valencia the other day was crazy, but let me not get off track. The thumb position is really, really comfortable. The wrist support is outstanding because you have that nice firm wrist padding on the base. And obviously you're not going to be sparring in these, so they're protective for all the good reasons of bags and pads. All the purposes that you need covered are covered in this glove. Even that foam at the base here to keep it wrapped around your hand. It doesn't shift around on the inside. It just feels like an extension of your hand rather than a glove on top of your hand. And that's one thing I love about it. On top of it, the quality. When you get hit and move gloves, you can expect top quality. I've never seen any complaints online about the quality of hit and move, like Velcro rubbing off or the leather ripping or fading away. And that's the thing that you have, again, with high quality items. And again, we're talking about a professional brand here, so they're not necessarily going to be cheap because of how they're made. And that's what you have. That nice designer leather on the back of the glove is absolutely amazing and smells really clean, and it's very easy to maintain. I have very rarely had to go out of my way to clean hit and move gloves because they maintain a pleasant scent almost always. Even on the inside, if I ever had to spray them down, it's just because I just don't want anything to build and I'm just taking precautionary measures. But I could leave these gloves in my bag for 2 or 3 days. I would bet after a really tough session, I would not do that, and they'd come out basically feeling and smelling the same. You have a very nice moisture wicking lining. It's a very padded lining, very comfortable lining as well. And overall, it fits the hand super naturally. So if we talk about all the positives I've just mentioned, what would some of the drawbacks be? Well, I'll word it this way, and it's not necessarily such a knock because I know what they're designed for. And again, Hit and Move is not your basic beginner's brand. They are a professional level brand, and Ozzy makes no bones about that. And he's also trained and sparred with the same professional athletes that are using his equipment. The way I would word it to you is, if you are not a professional boxer, why would you get them? That would really be my only question. Like, yes, you would have a 12-ounce glove that you could use for bags and pads, but what is going to stop you from spending about $250, $260 on these gloves compared to getting, say, a rival RB10, just for basic bag work? That's the only thought process that goes through my mind is, are you willing to spend it on that? If you're a professional boxer, I think this is incredible for you. I think that is one of the best things that you can get, because you're going to say, if you're 147 and below, you want something that protects you but has the same fit and feel of what you're going to be fighting in. This is awesome. I still recommend that you train in the thing you're going to fight in, though. That's the other thing. The reason why I recommend that is because these are super protective. They're a training glove. Are they going to have the same benefits to you psychologically? That's the one question I ask. For me personally, I think yes. It's one of those things, especially with boxers, and I've had discussions with the owner of Hit and Move several times about this. Boxers are very much stuck in their ways. So they might think, yeah, I still need to train in the glove I'm going to fight in because how else am I going to get used to it? They're not going to accept this right off the bat, which is fine. And a lot of people don't accept what Hit and Move has done. Like with their air position headgear, I said, well, it's thinner, but it has just about the same protection or more than other competitors. And that's what scientific data found. But that's basically it. Like, besides professional boxers, who would this suit? But it's a professional brand made for professional boxers. Would I go out of my way to use it? I have. In fact, for bags and pads, these have been one of my favorite gloves to use as of late. But would I use these compared to some of the rival bag gloves out there? Being completely transparent with you, no. I would prefer to use those, especially for the price range and for the fit and feel that I'm getting, and because they were designed to do exactly that. Also, as a pro MMA guy myself, if I'm going to train in a glove, if he did it for an MMA glove the same way he's doing it for boxing gloves, I definitely do it. It's not a drawback to the glove at all. It's not saying the glove sucks or that it's not useful to anyone else. It would be. I think higher level amateurs would go for this. I think professionals would look at these, and that would be about the extent of who would get these gloves. I think more people would get the 12-ounce, the 16-ounce, 12-ounce fit and feel for like the bag gloves. That might suit me a bit more. But outside of like professional boxers that fight at basically welterweight or below, I don't know exactly who it would fit for. But again, it's a very functional glove. It's a very form-fitting glove. It's very protective. It's very comfortable. Does everything right for what it's supposed to do. But again, besides that, who does the market belong to? And my answer would be just those people. That's really it. That's my one drawback to you. Is there any drawback about its safety, quality, function? No. And that's the one thing about Hit and Move that I can always tell you. But they are going to do one thing that they are just a touch different. This is the first Hit and Move product I am not giving a 10 out of 10 to. Actually, funny enough. So with that said, what is my final rating? If I were to give them a rating, it's still going to be in the S tier for an excellent glove, but I am going to give it that 9 out of 10 because I do think that might hinder people from buying the glove. Who does it market towards? A professional boxer of 147 and below. Obviously other boxers as well, but I'm speaking of people that send me messages, comments, all these different things that will ask me that question. Are these going to be useful for me? And I will not tell you yes if I don't think it's going to be a good option for you. It's one of those things where you have to really sit down and wonder, do you want these compared to just a basic bag glove, especially if you're a different size? Or if you're a professional boxer, I tell you, yes, I would strongly advise you look into these because it's going to be a different experience for you. It's going to keep you safer throughout your camps. They're going to last you a few camps. They're going to be better than the fight gloves you're going to train in. But then again, are they going to be like, well, I still need to train in the gloves I'm going to fight in? It's just, that's the one thing I stop to think about. Again, super protective. Comfortable. Thumb positioning is great. Knuckle protection's awesome. The leather on the outside is superb. Everything about the glove screams high quality and precise measurements, and it's absolutely awesome. And on top of it, they're scientifically backed. But they are that professional category. I would not tell a beginner to immediately look into these because spend your money on something a little bit cheaper that's going to get the job done for you, especially if you're not going to look into being a professional boxer. I wouldn't recommend them to you. That would basically be it. In that way, I guess is the way I would word it, you know. But for me, if you're a pro boxer, especially if you fight 147 below, get these. That would be my advice to you, is I would definitely look into these. They'll last you a lot longer than your fight gloves. They'll protect you more, and they'll prolong your career. So it saves you money, keeps you safer. That's something that you can't ever replace. So for me, I give them S tier excellent, 9 out of 10. It's just that one little caveat that I would say it detracts from the glove just a little bit. I hope I don't get yelled at too much by people in the comments over something, I guess, silly. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this review. I hope I helped you. And if I missed anything, please put it in the comments below because I try and nail everything when it comes to gloves like these, especially in that professional category. They are awesome. I've enjoyed a ton of different experiences in using these on bag work, and I will continue to use them for my training. And the fact that they're going to last me a long time is absolutely awesome. The durability of the glove is great. But again, is it going to service me better than some others? Probably not, but for professional fighters 147 and below especially, you got to look at these, is my opinion. As always, folks, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope I answered all your questions, but of course, if I didn't, put it in the comment section below and let me know what you want to see reviewed next on the channel. These are a very interesting glove that I think everyone should maybe look into, especially if you're a professional boxer, as it is a unique experience that has not been in the boxing world until now. I would recommend you do that. But when it comes to these gloves, if I missed anything, of course, let me know. You can reach out to me on all my different social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, or send an email to the channel. And of course, like and subscribe, as it goes a long way to help the channel out, and hit the notification bell for reviews just like these. And also share these with your friends if they were looking into these gloves, or I have tons of other reviews on the channel for gloves that you might be interested in getting. As always, I try and steer you the right way for your budget, your training, and your health. So please take that into consideration with each and every review. I thank you all so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for choosing your source of combat sports, The Combat Corporation. As always, I've been your host, Al the Postmaster Marlin, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.